guys, I'm Gabby and welcome to the Klapper Cottage. Today's episode, we're going to take a deep dive into my tiny kitchen to talk about the ways that I have made it functional, but also beautiful and charming, and I have added a lot of character into this small space without it feeling super cluttered to me. So I thought I'd flip you around and we'll go through a lot of the elements in my kitchen and like how I used things to be functional but also beautiful. That is my motto in my house: make things look beautiful but also function well. So we'll flip around and we'll go through that, and I'll also take you around the dining area a little bit because I have some areas in the dining room that I use for kitchen storage that I do want to chat about, that I think are helpful for your kitchen. And our dining room is kind of like an extension of our kitchen, so that's kind of why I want to include it in this week's video. So let me flip you around and we'll go through that. Alright, so starting off, this is kind of the full view of the kitchen, so you can get a full picture. One of the biggest things we did to add character to this small space is that beam right up there. We added that recently, I want to say in November we added that. It's a double beam, and we just got some salvaged wood from a barn off of Facebook Marketplace, and that is the wood you'll see a lot around my house. We have it as beams in our living space, in our upstairs space too. So I wanted to add something that made it a little bit more charming but also had some function. So what I did to make it functional is I added hooks so that I could hang stuff in the kitchen. And what I decided to hang was my basket collection. I like to use baskets a lot in the house because they have a lot of good texture and they add a lot of dimension and character to a space. So I chose to hang them here in the kitchen because if I need to run out to like the farmer's market or something, I can just grab a basket to go do that. I use them for picking flowers outside in the spring and summertime and bringing them into the house. They have a lot of function for me, so that's why I chose to do that, because they're also very beautiful. Next thing I want to point out is the curtain that's under our sink. I think curtains add so much character to a space and warmth, and they make it more interesting. So I decided to add them there under our sink because we didn't have functional cabinets at the time. So it was a good placeholder for me, but then I just loved the character it added. But you can add curtains anywhere in a space to just hide storage things so that you have the function of a cabinet, but it looks really beautiful and charming too. So like under there, we have a lot of our kitchen storage cleaning supplies. All right, moving over to the oven section, there are a couple things that I did here that gave us more functionality, and I just think are super charming too. So the first thing I did was I added some hooks here beside the oven, so you could just add hooks onto whatever cabinet you have next to the oven. And I chose to hang my oven mitts there because it's way more functional for me to just have the oven mitts out where I can grab them easily when I'm cooking, when I'm taking things out of the oven. So I added those hooks for that functionality. But then I chose oven mitts that had neutral color patterns, because that is what I like in my house, is neutral colors. Fun patterns and stuff like that. So these guys hang here. Super easy, super simple, but it gave me a lot of functionality in our home, and I think they're super charming. Another way I used hooks in the kitchen is right above the oven. Let me bring you over here so you can see it a little bit better. All right, so these are what I'm talking about. I wanted to add something above the oven because I didn't like this space. I didn't like how it looked. And also, how often are we running around our kitchen trying to look for measuring cups when we're baking, right? Or like I'll show you a space in the dining room where I put hooks to hang my pots and pans because I don't like to have to rummage in my cupboards and try to find my pots and pans or my measuring cups. So what I did here above the oven is because there's not a lot of space here, since we've got these cabinets up here, I just added some little hooks underneath the cabinets and I put my measuring cups there. And I'll link all this stuff too for you guys over on my Instagram page. You can find the links for these things there. But these guys, I think I got them off of Amazon, and I just went with something that was really nice and warm and neutral too. So I like to have wood tones and copper tones in my kitchen and in my kind of whole living space. So those are what I decided to go with to add a little bit of charm over the oven, but also add a bunch of functionality. I can just grab them off whenever I'm cooking, baking, and use them. Another thing we did in the kitchen on the oven is we bought a, I don't even know what you call these. Like, I don't know what you call them, but it's like a board that just goes right over your range to add some more counter space if you have a small kitchen. So we put that on over our range. So we do have to take it off when we, are cooking, but when we're not, it's nice to kind of have that space hidden. Am I right? When you don't always want to have it clean. But also we can chop veggies on here. We can do a lot of other stuff and use this as counter space as well. And the last thing over here is this mug rack. I recently sold one of these on my shop. They always go so fast when I do find one. This one was from Target. It is super functional to have out on the counters, and it adds a little bit of warmth and character to the space. I just have some of my mug collections hanging here in different seasons, but it's something where it's really nice to just be able to grab a mug when you need it, fill it up with some tea, for me, or coffee. I don't drink coffee. But it also kind of helps you save on storage space. So like if you don't have a ton of cabinets in your kitchen, if it's small, this is really nice to have where you can organize your mugs in a way that saves you some storage in your cabinets. So I don't have all my mugs obviously in my cabinets, so I can have more space for my other dishes. But then this adds a lot of warmth and character when you have it sitting out here on the countertop. It's just super cute and fun. So keep your eyes peeled on my shop because I do find them often, but they go so fast. All right, this area over here, one of my other big tips for helping organize things in your small kitchen and have some good storage is baskets. I love to use baskets for everything because they're super cute and functional. So like for this space over here, I used these baskets that I found on Amazon. I love the color of them and the texture that they add to my counters. And I use these to house my potatoes and onions. So I got my potatoes in this big one and my onions in this one. I also love to use baskets to hold things like cleaning supplies. So I have one up here above our sink where I hold our scrub brushes for cleaning. I also have a couple cute swans that I have up here. I love to have swans in my collection. They're so pretty. But this one I like to use as a holder for my little scrub brush when I'm cleaning the dishes. I have that guy sitting up there. And then I've got this little swan that I hold my toothpicks in as a functional yet stylish solution to my kitchen problems. Another thing I love to have sitting out on my counters is my cake plate. I always have chocolate chip cookies in here. I won't say always, but I love having these out because I think they serve such a good function, but they add so much to a space. Like, I just love having home baked goods in here, and I like to display them too because it makes the space feel really cozy and charming. But then you have a nice place to store those things so you don't have to go be putting them in the pantry. Then my hand soap, my dish soap, I got these amber colored bottles off of Amazon, and these are what I love to use to hold those things so that I can have them out. So they're functional for us, but then they also look really pretty. So that I have linked on my Instagram too. I missed this guy over here, but I recommend, if you have a tiny kitchen and you're looking for ways to help on space in your cabinets and your drawers, have some kind of vase or pot on your countertops where you have your utensils that you use all the time. And I opted for the utensils that were neutral colored and wood tones because that's what I like. It makes the space really cohesive and pretty, but also functional. All right, and then over here with our dishwasher space, I have this jar that I hold our dishwasher pods in. So again, one of those unique ways where you can display things for functional use. So I just grabbed a clear glass jar and threw my dishwasher pods in them because I like them to be accessible when I'm loading the dishwasher and I want to pop one in, rather than having to dig through my under kitchen storage, my under sink storage, and I can just grab a pod and plop it in, but then it always sits out there and it looks really nice. All right, then quickly moving into the dining room space, I wanted to point out a couple things that I did in here. So pegs are a big tip for organizing. I love adding them to any room that I renovate. They're so simple. You can find lots of peg racks at the thrift store, little shelves that have pegs on them. I just love using them in my spaces because I can hang things that are really pretty but also functional. So I'll show you over here. I've got these little produce bags that I hang on my pegs. So this one, I've got some avocados in there. This one I've got some apples in. I've got some other ones over here that I've got. Usually I have bananas in there. So those kind of produce bags are really helpful to organize your fruits, your veggies that you want sitting out. Decrease the clutter, but have like a home for everything. Then again, just like in the kitchen, I've got lots of jars that I use to store a bunch of my kitchen pantry items. So like over here in my hutch, I have these little canisters that I use for my flour and sugar. I've got jars, whatever you want to call them, that I use to store, I have a collection of rolling pins. I use one of them. Don't use all of them. And then like my whisks and my other silverware stuff. I've got some other jars here that I put tea in and coffee in. If you don't, we don't have a pantry, like a really big pantry space, so I like to display our pantry items in a pretty way, but also functional. So like these are very helpful for that. And then over here in this guy, same idea. I've got a lot of jars in this hutch that I keep things in. And then this is similar to what I was talking to you about over the oven, where I've got my measuring cups. Over here, I have some hooks in this hutch where I hang my pots and pans. So that way, you know, there's a functional space for them. They have a home, and I can just quickly grab them rather than constantly having to go back into my cupboards and like rummaging around for those pots and pans. The last two things I'll talk about in the kitchen that I almost forgot about is a lot of people ask me, where the heck is your trash can? I can't find it. Well, I went online on Facebook Marketplace and I searched for a trash can holder that looked like a piece of furniture, the guy that I found. So I fixed this guy up, and this is our trash can. So another way that you can add a lot of functionality to your kitchen, your small kitchen space, but it's also really pretty because it looks like a piece of furniture. And then the last thing I always get questions about in the kitchen is my frames, my magnet frames. So I can't take the credit for this because I did learn about it from someone else on Instagram. I believe it was Pretty in the Pines, if you are over on there and you follow her. I made these, I want to say a year and a half ago now at this point. But yeah, I'll have to go through and do another explanation on how I made them and everything. But really quickly, I just took some frames and I put some magnets on the back. I mean, it's really just as simple as that. But it's a way that I can dress up the kitchen a little bit, dress up my fridge. So that's something that I like to add in my kitchen space. It's tiny, so I can't have a lot of stuff there, but something that you always have is a fridge, and you can just slap a frame magnet on there. So that concludes everything in my kitchen dining area that I use to make the space more functional and beautiful. If you liked this video and you want to see more home storage kind of design ideas in a cozy cottage style, like this video and subscribe for more. Bye guys.